Well, hello and welcome back to my podcast, Quest for You. I'm Janine and this is episode 209. And what I'm proposing today is not the most sound advice you've ever heard. It's not scientifically backed up either, and probably hasn't been extensively researched. But for some reason, tons of people speak and write about it. And that is our inner guidance, also called intuition. We all use it, but I don't think we are aware of the potential it can have on our life. Albert Einstein wrote about it. The only real valuable thing is intuition, he said. While we may encourage one another often, and we read and repost a lot of these little snippets on our social media accounts, like use your intuition, listen to your inner voice, do what your heart tells you. When it comes to the critical decisions in our life, we really don't believe or listen to such advice. We may admire others who have taken the bold and courageous step to follow their heart's guidance, but most often we consider these lucky exceptions, outliers, people with special circumstances. Because most people don't really care whether you followed your heart and that you're happy. They care about results and status. We don't get rewarded for being the most fulfilled person. We get rewarded for achieving bottom line goals. We get recognized for titles, accomplishments, and possessions. While our inner guidance may have helped us along the way, it's not what gets encouraged as a means to make a decision. Yet it is our inner guidance system that knows what's best for us. Everything else outside of it is just subject to the importance we place on it. And that changes all the time. While our intuition is always with us and is always spot on, we just don't know how to use it. We are wired to chase money and fame. We've grown used to making rational and intellectual decisions. And this is even more encouraged with all the distractions placed on us every day. It becomes harder and harder to find that space inside that is steady, calm, and in line with who we are. And as a result, we seem far removed from our own selves. We live with unfulfilled dreams and passions buried deep inside of us. We are confused about what is most important to us. We struggle with minor difficulties because we don't know how to deal with them. We are focused on maintaining outer order by following rules and sticking with the norm. And we are plagued by increased inner turmoil, a missing sense of direction, a lack of clarity on what's important, indecisiveness in the face of the many choices we face every day. I've always noticed that people from less affluent cultures live the opposite. They have to put up with a lot of outside instability and unrest, but they are calmer on the inside. They have an inner peace that we often lack because we are outside focused. When we become impatient because the water stopped running or the electricity is out, people for whom this is a daily occurrence don't even say anything. And for us, it becomes an unmanageable disaster. Instead of tuning inward for advice, we look for outside validation. And the more the better. More likes, more followers, more money, more possessions, and more achievements. Our dilemma is that we are hyper-focused on quantity. We think that more options will help us make better choices, and better choices equal freedom. I have found that this is not always the case. I grew up in communism, where choices were limited to the basics. When something special came along, it meant a lot. It was appreciated and valued to an extreme. Fewer options freed up time and energy for more important matters: community, time in nature, togetherness. I believe that in the absence of distractions, and an abundance of choices always pose a distraction, people focus on each other more. While my country was surrounded by a wall, from a child's perspective, I never had the sense that we were not free. For true self-realization, we don't need borders to open and walls to fall, at least not outside ones. Instead, we need to break the inner walls that we have built up and that hold us back from a fulfilled and happy life. We need to find that deeper level of self-awareness because the best information always comes from within. It comes from who we really are. That is what we often refer to when we talk about intuition. When you just know, when it feels right in your heart. To access our intuition, we need to shift our focus away from quantity towards quality. It's really not about the number of options, but about knowing which one is right. And that comes from the inside, not from the outside. By developing a state of presence and awareness that allows you to know at any moment which is the right choice, you gain ultimate freedom. And that is certainly not an easy endeavor. I don't think it's possible for many people to achieve such a state where all decisions are guided by intuition. But we can make an effort to tune into ourselves more. We can develop that state of awareness and that connection with the inside. We can amplify that small inner voice and turn it into a louder voice, one that we hear more frequently and more clearly. To be able to feel that connection with your inside, you simply need to access it more frequently. You need to develop consistency. And it doesn't come from thinking positive or choosing to be mindful. This is an intellectual approach to intuition. The real quest for you happens when you take time, real time, to be with yourself. This can be through stillness or meditation, when you rest your nervous system. Your neural connections that are hardwired towards chasing achievement are now allowed to reach a deeper place where there is more of an enriching feeling of fulfillment and gratitude. Another way to foster your intuition is to become more aware of the things you love and enjoy. And this goes deeper than a certain brand of car or clothing. What are the things that bring you true inner joy? For me, it's nature. I never really knew this. We become so comfortable in our cement structures that we don't think we need nature. But now that I live here in California and do more activities outside, I noticed how happy and relaxed I always am when I'm in nature. So nature is my third tip for getting more in tune with yourself. Nature replaces the static energy of our mind-stimulating devices that we use daily and that have a tendency to override the soft inner voice within. While going for a walk or run in the woods, we are quieted by the very essence of nature. And when the mind is at peace, the intuition has a clearer avenue of expression. Spend time focusing on the beauty and the peacefulness of nature. Real presence, real happiness is when you're not even aware until after the fact. You were just engaged, you were in flow, laughing and getting lost in a story. And the best part, things play out beautifully, always with a little bit of unexpectedness, but naturally and in sync with our feelings. If we don't have access to that higher state of consciousness or the more expansive perspective, we end up with bad choices. I have plenty of examples in my life where bad choices took me down the wrong path. When I looked at what looks good on paper, when I followed the direction of others, or when I chased the highest payback. Bad choices can reflect in poor health, in bad relationships, and in unsustainable work choices. Bad choices usually go along with negative emotions. The ideal state is to have internal guidance make all your choices. It's when you know inherently what is the best option of all. Not by outside measures, but by your inner state. Wouldn't it be great to feel like this throughout life? Guided by an inner sense of knowing, at peace and in balance with our best self, able to handle all the obstacles and distractions life throws at us, with a sense of fulfillment wherever we are, even in the most dire situations. Living from inner guidance is not forced like positive thinking often is. It arises naturally, and when it does, it shifts our sense of perspective. We are engaged in the world, in flow with the things we love without being swayed back and forth by outside forces. There is an inner stability that keeps us in balance. It pays attention to everything and it knows what path to walk and which ones to avoid. An array of options that all appear similar can now be discerned by us because we spot the subtle differences better. We know what is right for us at this time. Inner guidance notices an opportunity in the most unlikely situations, and it helps us see connection everywhere. And we get these wonderful little insights, messages, and epiphanies. If you think back, I bet you had such magic moments where everything just seemed to work in harmony and you knew exactly what to do and where to go. This is inner guidance, my friends, and I wish that everyone can access it more frequently. I believe it will not only make us happier and more fulfilled human beings, but will also contribute to a better world for all of us. Much love, my friends. I'll talk to you soon.